Deep in the void between the spiral arms of the Milky Way, the Confederation's survey vessel, Eternal Seeker, drifted silently through space. Commander Vyxtal, a towering figure with iridescent scales and compound eyes, studied the holographic display before her with growing confusion. Her tendrils twitched, a sign of agitation among the Nexari species. "Run the analysis again," she ordered, her melodic voice carrying an edge of disbelief. "These readings cannot be correct." Her science officer, Zarnath, a crystalline being from the silicon-based Litharii race, pulsed with subtle colors as he confirmed the data. "The readings are accurate, Commander. Planet designation Sol 3 exhibits characteristics that defy our classification systems. The atmospheric composition alone should make it uninhabitable." The planet in question hung in the viewport like a blue and white jewel. According to their scans, it experienced temperature swings of over 100 degrees, possessed a corrosive oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere, and was bombarded by radiation from its star. Yet somehow it teemed with life. But that wasn't what had caught their attention. No, what truly baffled them were the artificial satellites orbiting the planet, the structures visible on its surface, and the countless electromagnetic signals emanating from it. "We've detected over 10,000 different artificial frequencies," reported Communications Officer Mira Hex, her bioluminescent patterns flickering rapidly. "They appear to be entertainment broadcasts? News? Something called social media." Commander Vyxtal's tendrils coiled tightly. This violated everything the Confederation knew about planetary development. Species weren't supposed to evolve on such hostile worlds, let alone achieve spacefaring capability. What kind of beings could survive in such conditions? She wondered aloud, just as their sensors detected something new, a small vessel launching from the planet's surface. The bridge crew watched in fascination as the primitive-looking craft approached. It was tiny compared to their sleek survey vessel, yet it moved with surprising precision. A transmission came through, carried on a simple radio frequency. "Unidentified vessel, this is Captain Sarah Chun of the Earth Space Force patrol ship Curiosity. We noticed you checking us out. Want to come down for coffee?" The casual nature of the invitation stunned the alien crew into silence. Here they were, an advanced civilization making first contact, and these beings were treating it like a casual social call. "They want us to descend into that death trap of an atmosphere?" Zarnatha's crystalline form vibrated with anxiety. "Commander, the pressure alone could shatter my outer matrix." Before Vyxtal could respond, another transmission came through. "Don't worry about environmental conditions. We've got specialized accommodation facilities for various alien physiologies. We've been hoping someone would stop by eventually. Though usually visitors don't spend quite so long lurking at the edges of our solar system." The implications hit Commander Vyxtal like a gravitational wave. These humans hadn't just survived on their death world, they'd thrived enough to prepare for extraterrestrial contact. They'd spotted the Eternal Seeker long before the crew realized they'd been detected. "Send a response," she ordered, her scientific curiosity overriding her caution. Tell them we accept their invitation." As the message was transmitted, Vyxtal reflected on how this encounter would shake the foundations of Confederation society. Their entire understanding of habitable worlds and species development would need to be revised. The small human vessel began guiding them toward an orbital station that had somehow escaped their initial scans. Its design was unlike anything in Confederation records, a practical, almost artistic blend of function and form. "Commander," Mira Hex called out, her voice carrying a note of amusement, "they're sending us docking instructions, along with something called a welcome packet and tourist guide to Earth." Vyxtal's tendrils relaxed slightly, curling in what her species considered a smile. Perhaps this unprecedented encounter would lead to more than just scientific revelations. As their ship aligned with the docking port, she couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy was about to change forever. After all, any species that could turn a death world into a thriving civilization and then casually invite space visitors for coffee was either incredibly foolish or remarkably capable. She suspected she was about to find out which. The orbital station, Harmony Point, was a testament to humanity's adaptability. Within its rotating rings, dozens of different environmental zones accommodated various alien physiologies. Commander Vyxtal and her crew found themselves in a specially designed chamber that matched their ship's atmosphere and pressure. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, Earth's chief xenobiologist, watched through the observation window as the alien delegation settled in. Her colleague, Dr. James Chin, was busy adjusting environmental controls while monitoring their guests' vital signs. Fascinating, Elena murmured, making notes on her tablet. The crystalline one literally photosynthesizes energy from our artificial lights. And the commander's species appears to communicate partially through those tendrils, some form of electromagnetic signaling, perhaps. Less studying, more diplomating, James reminded her with a gentle nudge. Remember what happened with the Proxima delegation when you tried to scan them during dinner? Elena winced at the memory. How was I supposed to know they considered medical scanning equivalent to undressing someone in public? The communication system crackled to life as Commander Vyxtal's melodic voice filled the room. Your accommodation facilities are impressive. You seem well prepared for extraterrestrial visitors. We like to be ready for anything, Elena replied, activating the video feed. Though I must admit, your physical diversity is remarkable. Most of our previous visitors have been carbon-based humanoids. The revelation that Earth had already hosted other alien species sent a visible shock through the Confederation crew. Zarnatha's crystalline form pulsed with rapid color changes, while Mirahexa's bioluminescence flickered frantically. Previous visitors? Commander Vyxtal's tendrils coiled tightly. Yet you're not part of any known galactic alliance. How is this possible? Oh, we get all sorts dropping by, James chimed in casually. Some get lost, some crash land, some come to study us, thinking we won't notice, of course. We usually help them repair their ships and send them on their way. Hospitality is kind of our thing. The aliens exchanged looks that Elena was pretty sure translated to, what the hell, in any language. But your world. Zarnath began, their crystalline structure vibrating with confusion. It's what we classify as a death world. The gravity alone should make complex civilization impossible, let alone your level of technological advancement. Elena couldn't help but laugh. Death world? I suppose that's one way to look at it. We just call it home. Sure, we've got our challenges, earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, but that's just Tuesday for us. It keeps us on our toes. You speak of natural disasters as if they're minor inconveniences, Mira Hex observed, her patterns shifting to what their xenolinguists had tagged as bewilderment. Well, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, James shrugged. Or inspires you to invent better warning systems and building materials. Speaking of which, would you like a tour of our research facilities? We've made some interesting breakthroughs in adaptive environmental technology. As they led the alien delegation through the station, Elena couldn't help but notice their reactions to everyday human activities. They were particularly fascinated by the station's gym, where off-duty crew members were exercising. They deliberately stressed their bodies? For recreation. Commander Vyxtal asked, watching a group doing yoga. It keeps us healthy, Elena explained. Our bodies evolved to need regular physical challenges. Without them, we get weak. Your species evolved to require stress for optimal function? Zarnatha's colors shifted to what Elena's instruments suggested was the equivalent of a headache. The tour continued through hydroponics, where Earth crops grew alongside alien species in carefully controlled environments. The Confederation crew was particularly shocked by the variety of potentially toxic plants humans cultivated for food. You eat capsaicin willingly? Mirahexa's bioluminescence dimmed in horror when they reached the pepper section. Our sensors indicate it's a defensive neurotoxin. Oh, you should see our hot sauce collection, James grinned. Some people really like the burn. Adds flavor to life, you know. By the time they reached the station's main observation deck, Elena could tell their visitors were struggling to reconcile their preconceptions about death world species with the reality of human civilization. The view of Earth below, with its swirling clouds and glittering city lights, seemed to drive home the point. I must ask, Commander Vyxtal said finally, her tendrils moving in complex patterns, how did your species survive long enough to achieve all this? By our understanding, the challenges of your world should have prevented advanced civilization from developing. Elena and James shared a knowing look before Elena responded. Maybe that's where everyone else went wrong. You see the challenges as obstacles to civilization. We see them as the reason we built one. Every problem we faced became an opportunity to innovate, to adapt, to improve. When the environment fights you, James added, you either give up or get creative. And humans? Well, we're really bad at giving up. The aliens' reaction suggested this simple statement might have profound implications for galactic civilization. As they continued their observations, none of them realized that humanity's tendency to get creative would soon be tested in ways none of them could imagine. The Confederation High Council chamber buzzed with agitated energy as Commander Vyxtal presented her findings about Earth. The massive crystalline dome above them reflected the various bioluminescent patterns and color changes of the assembled representatives, creating a chaotic light show that matched their collective anxiety. Impossible, declared High Counselor Krevenek, his armored exoskeleton clattering as he rose from his seat. No species could evolve meaningful intelligence in such conditions. These humans must be transplants from another world. The genetic evidence suggests otherwise, Vyxtal responded, her tendrils moving in precise patterns that conveyed absolute certainty. They evolved on Earth. More importantly, they've transformed their death world into a thriving civilization. The chamber erupted in chittering, howling, and various other species-specific expressions of disbelief. Zarnath stepped forward, their crystalline form projecting data streams into the chamber's holographic display system. Observe their adaptation methods, they said, showing footage from Harmony Point. They don't just survive their world's challenges, they deliberately seek out new ones. They have something they call extreme sports where they jump out of perfectly functional aircraft. For fun, added Mira Hex, her bioluminescence pulsing with what had become an almost admiring rhythm. The council chamber fell silent as they watched humans engaging in various activities, deep-sea diving, mountain climbing, spacewalking, and something particularly baffling called parkour. This changes everything, whispered Sub-Counselor HFY, her feathered crest rippling. If they can thrive in such conditions, what else are they capable of? Precisely why we must test them, declared Krevenek. The ancient protocols are clear. Any species with this level of potential must be evaluated before further contact is permitted. Commander Vyxtal's tendrils coiled in concern. With respect, High Counselor, I'm not sure the traditional trials would be appropriate. Humans have a tendency to exceed expectations in unusual ways. Nonsense. The trials have served us for millennia. Prepare the challenges. We shall see what these deathworlders are truly made of. 1 week later, aboard Harmony Point, Dr. Elena Rodriguez stared at the formal declaration with a mixture of amusement and concern. They want to test us? Like some kind of cosmic standardized exam? That's one way to put it, James chuckled, reading over her shoulder. Though I'm pretty sure most exams don't include survival challenges on gas giant moons. The challenges laid out by the Confederation were comprehensive: technological innovation, environmental adaptation, combat proficiency, problem-solving, and something cryptically labeled species cohesion assessment. They really don't understand us at all, do they? Elena mused, reaching for her ever-present coffee mug. These aren't challenges, they're opportunities. Commander Vyxtal, present via hologram, watched the humans' reactions with growing fascination. Where she had expected concern or even fear, she saw excitement and something her species translators struggled to define, a concept humans called competitive spirit. You seem eager, she observed cautiously. Well, yeah, James grinned. First official Galactic Olympics? Count us in. Though I have some questions about this combat trial. Are we talking chess or something more physical? Traditional combat scenarios, Vyxtal explained, usually involving survival in hostile environments while evading or confronting apex predators. Elena and James exchanged looks that made Vyxtal's tendrils twist with anxiety. She had started to recognize that expression. It usually preceded humans doing something either brilliant or terrifying. So, Elena said slowly, you're telling me that after centuries of believing we couldn't possibly survive on our death world, You want to test us by putting us in survival situations? That is correct, VYX Tal replied, suddenly understanding the humans' amusement. And the technology challenge, it involves adapting to unexpected conditions and limited resources? Yes, the same way we've been doing since we invented the wheel? VYX Tal's tendrils drooped as the full implications hit her. The Confederation had designed these trials based on what they considered the ultimate challenges. But for a species that evolved on a death world, that turned survival itself into an art form, perhaps, she suggested delicately, the Council should reconsider the parameters of the trials. Oh no, James said, his grin widening. We wouldn't want to disappoint them. Besides, I think it's time to show the galaxy exactly what humanity can do. Elena, call the team. We're going to need engineers, soldiers, scientists, and, hey, are extreme sports athletes considered a diplomatic resource? As the humans began their preparations, Commander VYX Tal sent an urgent message to the Council, recommend immediate revision of challenge protocols. Humans approaching trials with concerning level of enthusiasm. Predict unprecedented outcomes. The Council, in their infinite wisdom, ignored her warning. They would soon learn why that was a mistake. The first challenge took place on Kepler 7b, a hostile moon orbiting a gas giant. The Confederation Council watched from their observation vessel as the human team prepared for the survival trial. What they witnessed would reshape their understanding of adaptability forever. Are they singing? Sub-Counselor HFY asked incredulously, watching the human team set up their base camp while one member strummed something called a guitar. It's called camping, Commander VYX Tal explained, her tendrils twitching with resigned amusement. Apparently, humans do this for recreation on Earth. The challenge was supposed to be brutal, survive for 7 planetary cycles in an environment with toxic atmosphere, extreme temperature fluctuations, and predatory native life forms. The Council had expected the humans to struggle, to show their limitations. Instead, they got a masterclass in human ingenuity. By day 3, the human team had not only established a secure base, but had also began cataloging local flora and fauna. Dr. Elena Rodriguez had already identified 3 potentially medicinal plants, while James Chen had somehow modified their environmental suits to be more energy efficient using local minerals. They're not just surviving, Zarnath observed, their crystalline form pulsing with confusion. They're exploring, experimenting. One of them is trying to befriend a predator. Indeed, Sarah Martinez, their xenobiologist, had managed to establish a tentative rapport with one of the moon's apex predators, a 6-limbed creature that hunted using electromagnetic sensing. She'd named it Sparky. Of course they're making friends with the wildlife, VYX Tal sighed. Why am I not surprised? The technological challenge proved equally eye-opening. Given minimal resources and a seemingly impossible problem, creating a sustainable power source in a highly corrosive environment, the humans approached it with what they called garage engineering. They're using parts from their entertainment devices to build a geothermal tap, reported Mira Hex, her bioluminescence flickering rapidly. And are they using food containers as component housings? Humans have a saying, VYX Tal shared, necessity is the mother of invention. Though I'm beginning to think they invent things whether necessary or not, simply because they can. The combat trial was what finally broke the Council's composure. Instead of engaging the predatory species directly as expected, the humans created an elaborate system of decoys, traps, and distractions. They turned the environment itself into their ally, using the moon's natural hazards to their advantage. This isn't combat, protested High Counselor Krevenek. This is strategy, Commander VYX Tal supplied. They're working smarter, not harder, as they say. But it was the final challenge, the species cohesion assessment, that truly demonstrated humanity's unique strength. Faced with a crisis that required saving both their team and a group of stranded Confederation observers, the humans didn't hesitate. They quickly organized, adapted their plans, and executed a rescue that should have been impossible. They compromised their own safety to save others, HFY noted, her feathered crest rippling with emotion, without even knowing if they would survive. Because that's what humans do, VYXTAL explained. They see someone in trouble, they help. It's not about survival of the fittest for them, it's about making sure everyone survives. As the council watched the humans celebrate their success with something they called a barbecue, cooking food over open flame, another baffling human preference, an uncomfortable realization settled over them. They had designed these trials to test a species' worthiness, but instead, the trials had tested their own assumptions about what made a civilization advanced. The humans hadn't just passed their tests, they'd rendered them obsolete. Their strength wasn't in their ability to overpower challenges, but in their capacity to adapt, innovate, and cooperate. They turned hostile environments into opportunities, transformed limitations into advantages, and treated the impossible as merely inconvenient. I move to immediately revise our species classification system, Kravenek declared, his earlier skepticism completely erased. And perhaps we should consider what else we might learn from these humans. And so, as the Earth team taught their alien observers how to make S-mores over a portable plasma heater, the galaxy's understanding of strength and survival began to shift. The species that had evolved on a death world was about to teach the cosmos that true resilience came not from avoiding challenges, but from facing them head-on, preferably with good company and a decent sense of humor. The Confederation's Central Archives, a vast complex spanning an artificial moon, had never seen anything quite like Dr. Elena Rodriguez's presentation. Hundreds of alien species gathered to witness what the humans called a paradigm shift in galactic thinking. The problem, Elena explained, standing confidently before the massive holographic display, isn't that we evolved on a death world. It's that we never saw it as one in the first place. The assembled scholars watched in fascination as she brought up images of Earth's most extreme environments, from deep ocean trenches to Arctic tundras, from scorching deserts to dense rainforests. Every challenge we faced made us more adaptable, she continued. But here's the real breakthrough. We can apply this adaptability to help other species thrive in environments they never thought possible. James Chen stepped forward, activating a series of technical schematics. We call it the Universal Adaptation Protocol. By combining our environmental engineering with Confederation biotechnology, we can create habitats that don't just sustain life, they help it flourish. The implications were staggering. Worlds previously deemed uninhabitable could become thriving colonies. Species restricted to narrow environmental parameters could explore new horizons. The galaxy was about to become a much smaller place. Commander VYXTAL, now serving as the official liaison between Earth and the Confederation, watched with pride as her human friends unveiled innovation after innovation. Her tendrils moved in patterns that expressed deep satisfaction. She had been right about humanity's potential. Consider our first joint project, James announced, bringing up a hologram of a massive space station. The Nexus Initiative, a deep space research facility designed to accommodate every known sentient species simultaneously. We're better to discover what we can achieve together. The project was ambitious, combining human ingenuity with alien technologies in ways neither had imagined before. The humans' casual disregard for impossible challenges proved infectious, inspiring other species to push their own boundaries. Zarneth, who had been working closely with human engineers, demonstrated a new crystalline matrix they had developed together. By incorporating human stress testing methodologies, we've created adaptive structures that actually become stronger under pressure, like humans themselves. The revolution wasn't just technological. Human social concepts began spreading through Confederation space. Ideas like teamwork, thinking outside the box, and friendly competition transformed how species interacted. Even the concept of recreation, doing challenging things for fun, began to catch on. They organized an interstellar sports league. Mira Hex reported to the council, her bioluminescence flickering with amusement. 17 different species are competing in something called Zero-G Paintball. The Letharii team is surprisingly good. But perhaps the most profound change was in how species viewed their own limitations. Inspired by humanity's example, civilizations began questioning their self-imposed boundaries. Worlds that had been content with mere survival started dreaming of more. We've received applications from 23 species wanting to establish colonies on previously rejected planets, High Counselor Krevenek announced during a session. They're calling it the Earth approach, treating hostile environments as opportunities rather than obstacles. The humans, true to form, took all of this in stride. They were too busy helping, exploring, and innovating to worry about their growing influence on galactic society. When asked about their seemingly endless drive to push boundaries, Elena had a simple answer. "Look up at the stars," she said, gesturing to the spectacular view from the Archive's observation dome. "Every point of light out there is a new challenge, a new mystery, a new chance to learn and grow. How could we not want to explore them all?" As the presentation concluded, the assembled scholars began discussing the implications of this new era. Species that had once seen each other as potential rivals were now eager collaborators, all inspired by the example of the Death World species that refused to accept limitations. Commander Vyxtal found Elena and James at their favorite spot in the Archive's recreation area, sharing coffee with a group of alien scientists who had developed a taste for the human beverage. "You've changed everything," she said, her tendrils moving in patterns of deep respect. "The galaxy will never be the same. Change is what we do best," Elena smiled. "Besides, we're just getting started. Wait until they see what we have planned for Phase 2. The aliens present simultaneously leaned forward in interest and recoiled in alarm. They had learned that when humans talked about Phase 2, something unprecedented was about to happen. And in this new era of boundless possibility, unprecedented had become the new normal. 5 years after humanity's introduction to galactic society, the Milky Way had become nearly unrecognizable. The Nexus Initiative, once considered an impossible dream, now floated majestically in deep space, a shining beacon of interspecies cooperation. "Remember when they thought we couldn't survive our own planet?" Elena mused, standing at the Nexus's central observation hub. The massive window before her showed dozens of ships coming and going, each designed with the new hybrid technology that had revolutionized space travel. James joined her, carrying 2 cups of what had become the station's most popular beverage, coffee enhanced with luminescent algae from the Mirahex homeworld. "Now they're adapting our survival strategies into everything from architecture to entertainment." Indeed, the station itself was a testament to how far things had come. In one section, crystalline beings like Zarneth taught human children about energy manipulation. In another, human extreme sports enthusiasts helped anti-gravity species design new methods of propulsion. Every corridor, every room was a blend of technologies and ideas that no one had imagined possible before. Commander Vyxtal, now Admiral of the newly formed Joint Exploration Fleet, entered the hub with her usual elegant grace. Her tendrils moved in what everyone now recognized as excitement. "The results from the Sagittarius expedition are in," she announced. "The terraforming techniques worked. Worlds we thought would take centuries to become habitable are showing viable ecosystems after just 2 years. This was humanity's most significant contribution to galactic society, the idea that environments didn't have to be perfect to be worthwhile. That with enough creativity and determination, any challenge could be overcome. The Council wants to name the first settled planet Nova Terra," she continued. "They say it's fitting, since Earth showed us all a new way forward." Elena laughed. "Just wait until they see what the research team in the Andromeda Arm discovered. Those spatial anomalies we detected? Turns out they're not natural. Someone's been engineering space-time. More impossible things to investigate?" James grinned. "Sounds like a typical Tuesday." The station's alert system chimed softly, announcing the arrival of a very special ship. The 3 friends moved to the docking bay observation area, watching as the Impossible Dream, the first of the new hybrid exploration vessels, returned from its maiden voyage. Its crew was as diverse as the station itself, humans working alongside beings of crystal, energy, and forms that defied easy description. They had gone further into uncharted space than any previous expedition, facing challenges that would have once been considered insurmountable. "Captain's report is in," James said, checking his data pad. They found 3 new potentially habitable worlds, made first contact with 2 pre-space flight civilizations, and apparently invented a new form of faster-than-light travel while trying to escape a quantum storm. Of course they did. VYXTAL's tendrils moved in what had become her equivalent of an eye roll. I suppose they'll want to start testing it immediately? Already submitted the proposal, Elena confirmed. The engineering team is calling it probability surfing, something about riding the quantum waves between possible realities. The math looks solid, even if it does break half of what we thought we knew about physics. This was the new normal in galactic society. The impossible had become merely challenging, and challenges were seen as opportunities. Species that had once stayed within their comfortable environmental niches now ventured forth boldly, knowing that with enough ingenuity and cooperation, any obstacle could be overcome. As they watched the crew disembark, sharing stories and laughter despite their vast biological differences, VYXTAL reflected on how far they'd all come. "You know," she said, her tendrils moving in thoughtful patterns, "when we first found Earth, we thought we were discovering a primitive species on a death world. Instead, we found teachers who showed us that the only real limits are the ones we accept." "That's humanity for you," Elena smiled. "We never got the memo about things being impossible." Above them, through the vast windows of the Nexus, new stars beckoned. In ships crafted by human ingenuity and alien wisdom, crews of all species ventured forth to face the unknown. They carried with them not just advanced technology and scientific knowledge, but something far more precious, the human gift of seeing challenges as opportunities, of turning survival into an art form, and of facing the impossible with a smile and a cup of coffee. The galaxy had learned that true strength wasn't about avoiding difficulties, but about how you face them. And thanks to one species from a so-called death world, every challenge now came with a new perspective. Impossible? Well, we haven't tried everything yet.